Hello friends, we'll be explaining the law, or rather we'll be understanding the concept. Now, when we talk about law of diminishing marginal utility, we have understood that the product should be homogeneous. If you have homogeneous product, then at a point you will feel that the diminishing marginal utility is going to zero and then it is going to negative. These are all the things that we have already understood. Let's go on to the next pattern of it. Now, the law of diminishing marginal utility is based on strict assumptions. What are they? The first one will be all units, commodities which are completely handled are supposed to be homogeneous, one kind. Next will be the consumption of successive units should be without any long time interval. You should have it back to back. It shouldn't be like I had it today, then tomorrow I'll have one, then I'll have another one. If you're having it today, the next will be after an hour, then again after a few hours, or rather after 1 hour, or rather after half an hour. It should be at a regular interval, which is not very long. Utility is a psychological concept and it varies from person to person. Again, satisfaction, as we have discussed earlier, one consumer can have a different satisfaction, consumer B can have a different satisfaction again. But the law assumes that utility can be measured cardinally, such as in numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, which we have already discussed. The consumer is a rational human being and he strives for maximum satisfaction. Now, this specific consumer is a rational human being. This is our assumption. And he strives for maximum satisfaction. That is again our assumption here. Now, the next part refers to the law of diminishing marginal utility is violated if one or more of these assumptions upon which it is based gets violated. So, if any of these rules that you have already understood right now or assumptions right now, if they are violated, then the law of diminishing marginal utility is also violated with it. Since utility of a good is related to the mental perception of the consumer regarding the intensity of the want to be satisfied and the capacity of the good to satisfy it, therefore the law of diminishing marginal utility is violated for some reason. So if you are thinking that this specific thing, or rather this specific utility is going to affect, or rather if you think that this specific thing is going to affect or influence yourself, then in that case you need to understand that with every utility, it's a mental perception. Every consumer has its own mental perception. Some might think that I might have 10 and after that I might feel something. Some might think that I might have just one and uske baad mere ko nahi lagega. That is fine with them. Hence, this is the perception of every individual. Now, the capacity of the good, again, the mental perception is related to the capacity of how much you can have. Some might have 1, some might have 10 again. And after that 10th or rather the 11th one, it will start for him as a law of diminishing marginal utility. But for second one or rather people who are just used to having one, second one will keep on going down. That's depend on every individual here. Now, the intensity of the want increases, or the consumer of comes to think that the intensity of his want has increased. Now, if you're smoking a cigarette, you might think, or rather you might figure out that the first cigarette that you had in the day is giving you the actual satisfaction. The next cigarette will still have it. Third will still have it. At a point, you might think that if you're a regular smoker, you might be smoking just 5 cigarettes a day. The 6th one or the 7th one won't have that much of effect on you because it will be like, oh, okay, it's a tick mark activity, it's a check mark activity. So you won't have that much of thing in you. So it's fine with you. Now, it is for this reason, because of this specific reasons that we have understood right now, that marginal utility of the good tends to increase if there is any unduly long interval. If there is a long interval between two things or rather two sessions, right? Like the way we said, if you had mango right now and after 10 hours you're having a mango, of course your marginal utility won't come into the picture because there is a very long interval in here. But if you had mango right now, 5 minutes after you're having another, then after 5 minutes you're having another, of course the marginal utility is supposed to go down here. The consumption of 2 units of goods. Marginal utility of a good may also increase if the want of the consumer is intensified by consuming very small quantities of it, such as a very small quantity of water given to the person when he is very thirsty. Now, again, when will the marginal utility keep on increasing? If you are very thirsty and you are given just a sip of water, again your need will increase. Why? Because you want a lot of water, but still you're just given a sip of it. Now, if you give, or rather if you take the next sip, again your marginal utility will increase here. Third sip, fourth sip, fifth sip. Now, after 10 sips, you figured out, okay, fine, this much is enough for me. Then even after that, if you have, that's when the marginal utility will start declining and it will reach to zero when you have like a bottle of water already and you're done with it. Hence, there are certain cases where the marginal utility will keep on increasing, but that depends on the circumstances of how you are having it. It depends from individual to individual. So this is how the law of diminishing marginal utility is explained when it comes to concept clearing here. So this is all that we have in this video. Thank you.